The Ravens are cooked. The Jets are getting worse. Some crazy finishes. And what happened to Mark Sanchez? It is time for the Sunday Pig Pile. Welcome aboard, everybody. No matter where it is that you are watching us, you are always welcome here on Sunday nights, whether it's X, YouTube, or Instagram Live. We're always here on Sunday evenings, except for last week when we were live outside of Highmark Stadium a little earlier than normal. But either way, we are here tonight, and we are ready to rock. Pat Leonard, my friend from New York Daily News, is going to join us live from New Orleans coming up in a few minutes. As Jaxson Dart and the Giants were aiming to be 2-0 under the young quarterback, and turnovers did them in. So we'll get a live report from the site of the Saints' victory today coming up in just a few minutes. Also, we want to always get your feedback in. So however it is that you are watching, make sure you join the chat, especially if you're on YouTube, because the chat members not only get real frisky around these parts, but those who are members of the Inner Sanctum get to use the custom emojis, of which they're always amazing. So I can't wait to see what I will get coming up here in the live chat. I already see a few stunned to a newses, so I am ready to rock, and it looks like you guys are as well. Let's begin with your headlines of the day. It's time for the Furious Five. Raven season over. Boy, that was quick. I mean, think about the expectations on both of the Baltimore sports teams this season in 2025. You had the Baltimore Orioles coming into the season, certainly for fans looking to take that next step, win playoff games, perhaps playoff rounds, a group of guys that have been together now for a couple of years, and this was supposed to be kind of the breakthrough season. The Baltimore Ravens, coming off another playoff berth last year, ran into the Bills. Lamar and Derrick Henry are back at it. You knew they were going to have big-time aspirations, and they began the year looking like they were hitting on all cylinders in Buffalo. And today against the Texans was as ugly as it could possibly get, and the season is over. And I hate to say that, because there was no Lamar Jackson under center for the Ravens, and they had a myriad of guys out on defense as well. And so you might say, well, DA, come on. You got to be a little easier on them. I mean, yeah, they lost, but they had most of their stars out of this game, and that is true. That is true. But I'm talking about the sheer math here. I don't care if it was Cooper Rush. I don't care if all those guys were out on defense, Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, etc. I'm looking at the standings in the AFC and what the hole is that the Ravens have to dig out of, and I'm saying it ain't happening. It's crazy to say it's early October, but it ain't happening. And I'll tell you why. Number one, you just have to look at the win-loss record and realize that in the AFC, having one win through early October puts you really behind the eight ball here, and you don't have much room for error in that division or in the conference as the Ravens fall to 1-4. But beyond just 1-4, meaning that if you're going to get into the playoffs, you probably need to be 10-7 at worst. You're telling me that team is going to go 9-3 the rest of the way? I don't see it. Beyond that, if I even think they're going to play significant December games, I've got to believe that that defense can step up and do something. And look at what they allowed the Texans to do today. I know there were injuries, but a once proud Ravens defense has been shredded every single week. And it didn't matter if those guys were out or not today. Every week it looks like this. Look at the points that the playoff caliber teams have put up against the Baltimore Ravens this year. Bills put up 41. Lions put up 38. Chiefs put up 37. Texans put up 44. And I know that Houston looked okay last week, finally getting off the schneid and getting their first dub. But these are now back-to-back efforts against offenses that had been struggling, making those offenses look like they're taking candy from an infant. That Texans offense has struggled the entire season to put together touchdown drives, scoring drives. They did it all 8 times. C.J. Stroud held the football today, all 8 times. I don't care if Lamar comes back. That defense is just getting absolutely picked apart. And when you look at the harsh reality of the standings, they're 1-4, bottom of their division alongside the Browns. But also, they've lost a tiebreaker to the Buffalo Bills. They've lost a tiebreaker to the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 teams that they'd have to get through in the AFC playoffs, obviously, to get through to a Super Bowl, which was their ultimate goal. It ain't happening. I hate to say curtains on a season with a team as talented as the Baltimore Ravens, but this thing is stinking to high heaven. This has 5 or 6 win feel to it. And you always assume John Harbaugh's coming back. That is the model of consistency there in Baltimore, which is what makes them one of the model franchises. But boy, this is ugly. And I thought we were going to see a spirited effort at minimum today against the Texans. And that game was over by the end of the third quarter. Stands were empty at home, empty by the time the fourth quarter kicked off. And that, my friends, is the sign the season is O-V-A. Over. All right, next up across the football landscape today. Let's talk about the New York Jets, shall we? I will raise my hand here, and I will admit that I assumed that Aaron Glenn was going to change the way the Jets operated. I was under the impression, that the Aaron Glenn-led Jets would do the little things that Jets teams haven't done in years past. They'd be accountable. They'd be aggressive. They'd play close games and maybe lose because of lack of talent, but never because of lack of desire. And sure, this Jets team might lack the talent. That's what's coming up here week after week. But the things that should make an Aaron Glenn team tick and go are not there. And I would have told you if the Jets were 0-5, 2 things were definite. They'd be getting better each and every week, and they'd be ball hawking and getting to the football. 0 for 2 there. Neither one is happening. The New York Jets became the first team in NFL history, that's more than a century of football, to go their first 5 weeks and not create a turnover. No fumbles, no interceptions, no nothing. I mean, the team across town to the same stadium as them committed 5 turnovers themselves today, the New York Giants. The Jets haven't created 1 turnover. 1. How are we supposed to believe Aaron Glenn is putting his fingerprints on this franchise if they are getting progressively worse and they're not creating defensive big plays? And the Dallas Cowboys came into this game with a battered and beaten, half-wrapped up offensive line, and the Jets still couldn't stop them. The Dallas Cowboys came into this game with a battered offensive line and no CeeDee Lamb, and the Jets still couldn't stop them. I'll be honest, I'm worried. I'm worried that Aaron Glenn is actually not the right fit. And I hate to say it because everybody I respect around football respects Aaron Glenn. He sounds the part, he looks the part, he talks the part, and he played the part. He was a great player in his day. He wanted this job, he got this job. But my goodness, does he look like he is in over his skis. 0-5, barely competitive week after week. And now the Cowboys, with a half an offensive line, come in, run all over you, throw all over you, blow you out, and you still can't get to the football. And they got no CeeDee Lamb either. Oh, boy. What's that stench coming out of the Meadowlands? It's not just the swamp. It's the teams, too. Whew. We're going to pivot to college football at the moment here. Because how can we not? Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. James Franklin, Jimmy F., Mr. Frankenbeans, you gotta go. You gotta go. You don't gotta go home, but you gotta get up on out of here. You gotta go. That, my friends, is one of the single most embarrassing performances in college football in as long as I have watched college football. Do you realize that's the first time in 40 years a team that was winless through 4 games or more beat a team ranked in the top 10? And in the first half, it wasn't particularly close. That final score made it seem like the Penn State Nittany Lions were competitive. They weren't through most of this game. I mean, that UCLA squad was so bad, it had lost 2 times to Mountain West foes. Mountain West teams. They had to fire their head coach, Deshaun Foster. And then they had to hire their offensive coordinator. And then they were just looking for warm bodies on the sidelines and warm bodies in the stands. Because you know what? These days, nobody in Los Angeles cares about UCLA football, even UCLA football fans. So the fact was, when UCLA pulled this trick, when they pulled an upset as a winless squad that had fired most of its staff and played in front of flies, beat Penn State, a top 10 squad in America, that, my friends, qualifies as one of the most deplorable efforts of any college football team of the last half century. It is inexcusable. And it is one thing to lose to Ohio State and Michigan. It is one thing to lose to teams that are obviously better than you. Maybe they shouldn't be, but they are. It's another thing to get outclassed by a squad that is going through the motions. I know they have Jerry Neuheisel calling plays, and his dad, Rick, joins me every Thursday morning on my Sirius XM show. And Coach was super pumped that his son was going to finally get a chance to call plays. And the Neuheisel family has deep UCLA ties. Blood runs thick for UCLA. So it's an awesome story there. Awesome, awesome story. But Penn State had no business losing that game. They were a 25.5-point favorite. And they trailed by 3 touchdowns in this game. That's a team that doesn't care much about its head coach. And you can finish out the season because James Franklin has a hefty buyout. And you can still angle for a decent bowl game. You are more than likely out of the college football playoff. But I don't ever want to hear, ever, as long as James Franklin is there, I don't ever want to hear Penn State mentioned amongst the elite, ever. Coming into the season, contender status. Drew Aller. Boy, this is a team that went deep in the playoffs last year. Nice draw. Oh, wow. You know what? They got all this talent, all the holes they might have had last season filled in the transfer portal this offseason by James Franklin. Franklin said this was the best team roster-wise he'd ever coached, best coaching staff he'd ever had as well. Well, what happened? You lost to Oregon in a tough game at home, and then you went across the country and you didn't show up. You let that team, the Oregon Ducks, beat you twice. That is the sign of a poorly coached squad. So James Franklin, not much use for you anymore in Happy Valley. And it is crazy that Penn State has been unable to find the right head coach to elevate them into true championship status. That Ohio State and Michigan reserve their spot atop that mountain in the Big Ten, so isolated from Penn State. Penn State just keeps looking up like, man, we would really like to be up there with you. They've got resources, they've got money, they've got in-state talent, and they've got history. They've got an incredible fan base, an incredible stadium, an incredible history. They've got everything you would ever want, money coming out of their pockets to build a supercharged national championship engine. And the fact that they just lost as a 25-point favorite, I'm done with the Penn State Nittany Lions, James Franklin. Are you guys checking out how good these headline puns are by Aiden tonight? I mean, he's just elevating his game. What James Franklin is unable to do, you're watching in real time. Aiden do it. To be frank, great. I mean, you saw Ravens turning purple. Amazing. This is just a man right now that is hitting on all cylinders. Let's see what he's got next here. Because the most wild story of this football weekend didn't happen on the field. It's pretty good. Mark them down. This is the most amazing part of Mark Sanchez's story here in Indianapolis and what we know Mark Sanchez as. Mark Sanchez leading his team to back-to-back AFC championship games is either the fifth or sixth most memorable thing he ever did in his life. Number one is clearly this incident, which we'll let all the facts come out. I don't want to jump in and assume anything here. I'm sure there's going to be he said stuff that happens, but everything that comes out of Indianapolis is a really ugly look at the moment for Mark Sanchez. Seemingly, allegedly hammered, allegedly violent, allegedly aggressive, allegedly defiant, allegedly all of these things, okay, against a 69-year-old grease truck driver. All right. Who knows where the truth is? But right now, this story, stabbing, arrests while you've been stabbed in the hospital, taken off, obviously, of this NFL broadcast he was supposed to do. This is a guy that on a Friday night before a game broadcast on Sunday obviously didn't need to walk away or stay in. So that's number one. The most memorable thing that Mark Sanchez ever did was get into an alleyway fight in Indianapolis involving a knife. The number two most memorable thing is the butt fumble. That was prior to this. The most memorable thing that Mark Sanchez had ever done. The butt fumble, perhaps the most comical play in NFL history. Number three, I would say, would be eating a hot dog on the sideline during a game that you're starting at quarterback. Again, we're at one, stabbing, alleyway, drunk, Indianapolis. Two, the butt fumble. Three, eating a hot dog on the sideline. Four, would be dancing naked on social media. Yeah, remember that? Where one of his former girlfriends or something, he was in a cabin, and we had this video that I think Deadspin got or TMZ got, and there's fully nude Mark Sanchez with all of his natural thing going on, dancing, a nice little jig there. And then somewhere after that is where we get to playing in back-to-back AFC championship games. I mean, this dude played for one of the greatest college football teams in history. Perhaps the most talented team of its era, of its generation, and it can't even remember that because he's had so many ridiculous, absurd, comical, dopey things that he has done since. Congrats, Mark. Congrats. Somehow you topped the butt fumble. And every 10 minutes, you're like, what happened? That's a new twist on things. What does the affidavit say? Whoa. Nice. And finally, from the NFL, the Chargers. This Chargers team is a bunch of frauds. And I hate to say it because I was high on them last year hiring Jim Harbaugh. I hate to say it because Justin Herbert looked so good with his first 3 games of the season. I hate to say it because I love those uniforms. And I hate to say it because you love to see new blood, fresh face, new identities making runs in the postseason. And boy, the Chargers fans that go back to the San Diego days, forget the newbies in LA, but the San Diego Charger fans that are still with them, they have been tortured for a long time. We talk about the Browns, the Jets, the Lions. Man, Chargers fans have dealt with some of the most brutal blows in football history as well, right alongside those other teams. They've been talented, but boy, there's a lot of collapses and traumatic endings for Chargers fans over the decades. So I wanted to believe in this Chargers team, but come on, look at what the Giants put on film today. And the Giants beat you last week in Jaxson Dart's first start. Okay, that looks bad. But it aged even more poorly with the way the Giants played today. On top of that, look at what the Chargers looked like Sunday against the Commanders. That needs to be a bounce back effort. That needs to be wake up call. Giants got us. We've got to play our best football now. And it looked like they might do that early in this game, staking themselves to a 10-0 lead. And from there on out, it was just issue after issue, problem after problem, mistake after mistake, blown assignment after blown assignment, miscue after miscue. They led 10-0 and lost 27-10. Herbert with the terrible interception throws for just $166. The game is so out of hand late. We get a Trey Lance appearance. Unable to get anything going on offense and defensively, unable to stop a Jaden Daniels-led attack where Jaden is coming off missing time and clearly, to me, is still not 100%. That was a poor effort, and a Chargers team that had the early tiebreaker over the Chiefs have now squandered it and are right in the middle of the pack here in the AFC. And I'll tell you, if you were hoping for somebody besides the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC Championship game, I think you're going to be holding your breath for another full year. Because who else is breaking up that party? We've seen the Ravens collapse. We've seen the Chargers drop their last 2. The Broncos get a nice win in Philadelphia on Sunday, but I'm still not convinced that's a team that can make a deep playoff run just yet. The Texans had lost their first 3. Still very leery on them. Do you believe in the Colts at this point in time? The record's nice at 4-1. Do you believe Daniel Jones can go on the road and win playoff games? Because that would mean going to Kansas City or going to Buffalo and pulling the trick. It is a AFC right now that if you're a Bills fan or you are a Chiefs fan, looks an awful lot similar to what it has in recent years. It's us and then everybody else. The Chargers. Come on. Come on. We needed more out of you. We needed more, and we got less. Come on. All right, send us all of your comments. And for those that are members, you know what? Give us some of those white-hot emojis. I'm seeing a Wonka DA in there from Randy Trask. I'm seeing a Fisher the Clown. I'm seeing a Rosie the Cat. I love these. If you are a member for the price of a chicken sandwich a month, that's a great deal. Not only do you get use of this full complement of custom emojis, all inside jokes here on the show, but also an Ask DA Anything, which is coming up this week. That's right, this week. We got another one, 10-10. All right, that's Friday night, 10-10. We always do it. We try to do 9-9-8-8-7-7. 10-10 coming up Friday. Don't you love it? You can ask me anything, become a member, join by clicking on this button above me that says join. Very excited about our next guest here because he joined us last year, and we always get really good insight from him from around the NFL. He is live in New Orleans tonight, where the New York Giants lose to the New Orleans Saints behind 5 turnovers from the Giants offense. We are joined by our friend for the New York Daily News, Pat Leonard. Good to see you around here, these parts. Pat, how we doing, buddy?
DA, doing well here in Caesars Superdome. Always fun watching a game here. Last time I was here was the Super Bowl. That was a blowout, a bigger blowout than this one. But the Giants offense really embarrassed themselves today. So staring at the empty field, thinking of the empty fortunes of the Giants looking ahead here.
So was this a case where the Giants took a step back in execution or something that the Saints did today?
It was definitely a step back in execution from a standpoint of they had a plan for how to play without Malik Neighbors. It was, let's use 2 tight end sets, Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson. Let's attack at the middle of the field. Brian Daboll said they saw something in the Saints base defense they could take advantage of. They score on their first 2 drives, consecutive touchdowns, both passes to Theo Johnson. First time the Giants have opened a game with consecutive touchdown drives on offense since 2020. Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Yeah, what a stat that is.
But
they would make more history. Just wait. So once the game ends, 5 straight turnovers, including 6 straight if you include a turnover and downs. First time an NFL team has turned the ball over on 5 straight drives since the Jets did it 9 years ago. Now,
wow, that says it all about New York football.
Yes, the circus is in town. And what the execution element that failed is, even though they had a good plan, once the Saints went into nickel defense, took away what they were doing with the tight end matchups on the linebackers, the Giants not only didn't have an answer and kind of a counterpunch, but then once they faced a little bit of adversity as far as not executing, Darius Slayton with a key fumble late in the second half, DA was just an avalanche. And the big picture as you step out and look is, okay, you put this rookie in and you thought it was the right time. Obviously, it was the time that the coach needed something to go right for him. But now, is this really the right climate for him to be playing within? Because the final half of the game was a coaching staff not putting the team in a position to succeed on offense and just not a lot of personnel answers to come up with.
So what's the solution then? Because you can't really pull the rug out from under Jaxson Dart after just 2 starts, right? He's just going to have to ride this.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think, first of all, short week, Dart ends up, he's the starter against the Eagles. And I did talk to Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, after the game. He said, Dart does give us a spark. We like his mobility, we like his fire. The team does like him and rallies around him, and they plan to continue to do that. And he did have some plays early on, especially like his second touchdown throw to Johnson. He zipped it in there. It was a great throw, put it where only he could get it. He's got a lot of the physical tools, even though the deep balls leave a little bit of something to be desired so far. But DA, I floated this on Talking Ball Live right after the game. I think, I'm not saying we're here yet, but this could, if we see a repeat performance of this against the Eagles on Thursday night, and then they go to Denver, and these are 2 defenses and teams, as you know, much more difficult to play against than the previously winless New Orleans Saints. if we continue to see this, we might have a situation kind of like Minnesota with JJ McCarthy, where it's like, okay, the conditions, whether it's the speed of the game for him, whether it's we're not doing the right thing by him with our offensive line, with our weapons, maybe it's time to take a step back. And, again, we're not there yet. It's just 2 games in. We're 6 or 7 days away from him winning a game against the previously undefeated Chargers, which I agree with you, frauds. But, I think that this could get to the position where if they don't add significant personnel to the offense, you're going to be looking at this 3 weeks from now and saying, wow, they didn't put Dart in because it was the right time for him to join the team. They put him in because the coach was trying to save his job. So you're asking me for a solution, and I wish I had one. But, I mean, you tell me, if you're Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll right now, are you spending assets to go get a receiver? Because on the one hand, you need one. But on the other hand, you're not a contender. Is it really going to vault you over the top? It's a very difficult spot for them to be in.
Do you think that they made the Jaxson Dart move for Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen to save their jobs?
I think Brian Daboll, yes, and I think Brian Daboll kind of puffed his chest out and said it was my decision, right? He made that very clear.
Yep.
Because he wanted to own it, but also my understanding was very much a reality that it was a conversation behind the scenes, and there was a push and pull of, okay, but why now? Not yet. And the coach stuck his neck out. And that's what you see kind of the footage coming out from the Chargers game of him screaming, that's our guy. And the way that he was showing such an affinity for this player and this person and this quarterback. And even before the game, DA, I think it was Jason McCourty said something that I've heard before, but I had never heard somebody say Brian Daboll said it. They were saying on the broadcast that Daboll had said during the week that Dart reminds him of Josh Allen in a lot of ways, without saying he's the same player, but that it reminds him of him. And so that is the level of that's true. That is the level of belief he has in the kid. But no, Daboll at 0-3 needed to save his job. Russell Wilson was a guy who, Joe Schoen really believed in, and Daboll ran with too. But that experiment had to end, or else Daboll was going to go out without ever being able to say the quarterback that I selected never got on the field for me. Like, he was the reason that they steered off Shador and went to Dart. That was Brian Daboll who led that kind of shift. So it was made to save his job. I don't know if it's going to.
So do you believe that Joe Schoen actually was resistant in starting Jaxson Dart this early?
Yes. But I don't think he didn't believe in him. I think Joe is, as he should be, is attuned to the bigger picture and the greater landscape of it, DA, which is let's say you and I are sitting in the Giants locker room and we've spent 6 months being told by the organization, Russell Wilson's your leader. This is the guy. You follow him. And he became the North Star for the organization in the locker room where there was a leadership void. So all the players went, okay, we're getting in line behind this guy. And 2 bad games on offense, 1 pretty good game on offense where they still fall flat on their face at the end and lose in overtime to Dallas. And when they pulled the plug, the team was surprised by that. Like, the players, not that
really, wow,
yeah, oh yeah, like they knew that it was dire, but it was more about like, wait a minute, we've been going to dinners with this guy. We've been getting to know him. He's the only one who's been throwing passes to all the starting receivers. Like, we don't split the reps, and it's Russell or bust with the kid developing and wait until he's ready. And, there's the chirps behind the scenes of like, man, this could be like a Mahomes situation where he only plays 1 game or none and he redshirts his first year. And it goes from that to, wait, we believe in Jaxson. He's going to be the guy. We're going to change the offense for him. We're going to run up tempo. We're going to, it spun players' heads around. And if you noticed, they were diplomatic about it, but plenty of the players said things along the lines of DA when they made the change. It was like, that's above my pay grade, but like, I'll go along with it. I'll support it. I like Jaxson. And it was not about not supporting Jaxson. Similar to your question about Joe Schoen. It's not about not supporting Dart. Schoen did, after all, make the trade up for him and decide in the end that he agrees with Brian Dable and is going to go get him. It was about what it signified. What it signified was the season is over. And as you see from the Houston Texans, now 2-3 after starting 0-3, the season's not all the way, definitely, technically over at 0-3, but the message you're sending to the locker room when you tell them all to buy into Russ and everybody gets on board and then you yank the plug on it that quickly, you're telling the locker room the plan that we told you guys about all offseason that was going to get us back on track is done, finished. We're abandoning it. Now it's about Jaxson. And these guys are smart enough, DA, to know that turning to the future in week four means what it means. But so Joe Shane doesn't want, he was aware of the fact that it sends that message. So he doesn't want the team quitting on the field and folding in the towel and throwing in the towel, because for him, if they lose, but some of the prospects on their team, the young players he's drafted, still look good, he can say, let me hire the next coach. We've got some more pieces in place, blah, blah, blah. And that could be something that the organization buys. But if he was able to stretch out the Dart playing a little bit longer, DA, as a general manager, that keeps you safer because you can buy more time to say, let's see what it looks like in 2026.
You know, you cover the Giants on a daily basis, but obviously you know the entire league and you know the division very well. And it's kind of hard to figure what's going on with the Eagles. This is not a good look today. Broncos are not terrible, but the A.J. Brown passing attack, nothing quite feels all that comfortable with the Eagles, and now they take a loss today. Yeah. Where do you put the Eagles in the power rankings, the grand scheme of things?
They are definitely well behind the Lions for me, which I think is what matters in the context of what you're asking me, which is this is the reigning Super Bowl champs. They're built to win again, but I picked them to repeat. And I don't think I'm, one of the only people who did that. And you and I have both seen that the sign of a good team often is when they're not playing their best or even close to it and they're still winning. And that's what they were doing those first 4 weeks. The best thing for them is that 2 of their next 3 games are against the Giants, and then they have a bye after their next 3. So you can get healthy and get some more wins under your belt and kind of take a deep breath. But DA, have you ever seen a team undefeated with more drama in a week than the Eagles just had going into this game? What is going on? Like,
it's never ending over there.
I don't, sometimes you and I know sometimes teams lean into, oh, well, some of this is media driven and this and that. None of this was. This is an all-pro receiver.
It's locker room created.
Yep. And that, they have a lot of strong personalities on that team. And so when you have teams like that, you need 2 things. You need some stern coaching to keep them in line and keep some structure around them and also put them in positions to succeed and guys to be factors, get the ball, etc. And you also need to win. Now, they're doing the winning part. They lost this game, bad loss, the way it happened. I mean, the Broncos had 3 points, I think, early in the fourth quarter. Discouraging to see them give up 2 long touchdown drives to the Broncos like that, because the Eagles defense really this season has been their more consistent calling card than the offense has as it works the kinks out. I think what's happening is teams are just trying not to let Saquon beat them, and they're forcing Jalen Hurts to beat them. And what we've seen over the course of Jalen's career is he's good enough to win more often than he loses in those spots. But if you hem him in, that can be the worst version of Philly, if that makes sense. I don't follow A.J. Brown's gripes. I think that it's selfish of any player when your team's undefeated to complain like that publicly. I do think offensive play calling wise, there needs to be some sort of shift. I need to go back and watch this Broncos-Eagles game today, play for play, to see it exactly. But texting with some people in the league, I know that's been like a common theme from today coming out of that game, is Patullo, Sirianni, not that they don't understand how to use the personnel at all, but is the game script correct? Are they running the right plays at the right times? Are they managing the game properly when they have a lead? Those types of things. But I will say this. Last year, they had problems early and they weren't winning every game. And what changed their season was Vic Fangio going to Nick Sirianni and him having a conversation about, we need to start practicing differently. We need to practice harder. Our defense needs to drive this, all that, blah, 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 blah. And so they're already doing that, though. Like, that happened last season. So now what's the adjustment? I think offensive play calling is the most likely place to look. I know also offensively, their interior offensive line's banged up. Like, Landon Dickerson's like in and out of the lineup, and they're not their best version of themselves without him.
You joined us last season, and so we were able to send you a bottle of Santo Tequila for joining us this year. Another bottle of delicious Santo Tequila, yes, which is Guy Fieri and Sammy Hagar's collaboration, is going to be coming to your door. I want to know what your review was of the Santo from last season.
Oh, well, it's gone. First of all, it was delicious. It was smooth. That's always what I'm looking for, is smooth. It's the finish, right? And that's my favorite part about it, is that it tastes good going down. But sometimes you have an alcohol or a drink where you taste it, hits your lips, you're excited about it, and then it goes down and it burns, or it bothers you and you don't feel like you want a second glass. The best part about Santo was I poured the second glass.
Very nice.
It's because of the finish. And that's why I agreed to come back on, DA, obviously.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks so much as always. Santo certainly appreciates it. We'll get you another bottle out there. And you got the Talking Ball podcast as well, right? So that is already live. Our audience right now can check you out to check out your pod.
Yes, thank you. After DA Live, you can go and rewatch the rewind of Talking Ball post-game live right here from the stadium on Giants Saints, and then also going a little bit around the league. And then stay tuned. Monday night, we'll be back live. The handle is PL on NFL on YouTube, Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. And even though it's late night, DA, we go post-game live after Thursday Night Football from MetLife Stadium, Eagles Giants on Thursday.
Very nice. PL on NFL is the handle on YouTube. Pat knows the league inside and out. I highly encourage you to check it out. Go there on YouTube and make sure you are subscribed to his channel. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. And your setup sounds so good for the Superdome. Like, really, really crisp. Very nice. We always appreciate that around here.
Thank you, DA. Thank you so much for having me on. Always appreciated.
You got it, brother. Pat Leonard joining us here for the New York Daily News. Awesome stuff from the Superdome. Working late, working hard. This is what I'm bringing you live in the flesh. Guys that are reporting, women that are reporting around the NFL from the stadiums as they are doing their job. You got to love it. Watch D.A. Live. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click on this button below me right now to make sure you are subscribed. That way you get notified when we go live on Sunday nights. Also, last week was so much fun. I was up in Buffalo, obviously. You guys know that. I did Bill Maddock, the Bills podcast, from the outside of Highmark Stadium for the tailgate that we had with Game Day Buffalo, which is super awesome. But the Saturday before the game was really epic. The bar tab was on me at Sandbaggers, which is Western New York's newest golf simulator sports bar. It's really great. Steve over there and the gang are so good. They're so friendly. It's in Hamburg, New York. It's a real nice walking town, a beautiful upstate New York town. I just love it up there. And it's like your neighborhood place, and it's just great. They got a great big open bar. They got TVs everywhere. They got the golf simulators. And I said, as a thank you for hitting 2 years at Sirius XM, we just hit 2 years last week. October 2nd was 2 years at Sirius XM. I said, I'm buying. So for 2 hours, I bought all drinks for everybody that was in the building, okay, between 4 and 6 p.m. And my wallet took a beating, but it was all worth it. Let's roll the video here, Aiden, and keep my mic on because I want to walk through this until we get to the part where you'll see me taking shots. But it was such a fun event at Sandbaggers in Hamburg. And I encourage anybody that's in Western New York to go there and to hang out. You'll see the big DA Bill Maddock banner that is up there. and you'll see it there. They're keeping it up on the wall. So let's run this footage right now because we had such a good time up there, hanging out with everybody and really having a good old time. All blue lights, all Santo Tequila is on my tab. Why would I do this to myself? Come on in and let's see the carnage. Well, I'm buying everybody's blue light in here or a Santo Tequila shot or drink for the next hour. It's on me. Okay? All right. We be good. We do good. Go Bills!
There to have fun. Drink some blue lights.
We got Santo Tequila.
We got Santo Tequila. All right. You're supposed to wait for me. It is high-end, no preservatives, no additives. Tequila is just pure.
Skinny girl drink.
Skinny girl drink.
Santo Tequila was excellent. It was so smooth it went right down.
It's over. 6 o'clock, it's over. That's it, it's over.
Blue light, we'll take it to 6:45.
Whoa! Free blue light until 6:45. Bill Maddock, we are bringing good vibes. This year is the year.
Where would you rather be?
And right here,
Right now!
we just had a killer time. It was so much fun. And so I opened up the bar tab for 2 hours. It was on me. And then there was a rep from Labatt's there. And he's like, I didn't know you guys were doing this. I said, yeah, I just love blue light. He's like, wow, this is really cool. And everyone's cheersing their blue lights. And I'm up on a stool. And he's like, you know what? I'm extending it another 45 minutes. And everyone's like, yeah. So Labatt's bought another 45 minutes. So if you were up there and I was looking for Pat in Buffalo and Matt in Buffalo and Tony in Connecticut and all my crew up there that listen and call and tweet all day long, every day on Sirius XM, Kristen in Buffalo had an excuse. She's like 8 months and change pregnant. So I could understand her and Brian staying home. But I'm thinking, you know how much you could drink in 2 hours and 45 minutes? You had a full 2:45 if you got there at 4 o'clock on me, on the house. It was awesome. I got more footage that's coming to YouTube, okay? So that's what I post on social media. You will see more coming to YouTube coming up this week, and it's going to be awesome. And then I've also got the footage from the tailgate on Sunday morning. So wait till you see how it went down. We had so much fun, but thanks to Sandbaggers, who's my sponsor over on Bill Maddock. They are the official home right now of the Bill Maddock podcast, hosted by yours truly, because they got the signage, they had the bar tab, and Wonka DA was there, and it put a hurting on my wallet and my credit card account. But you know what? All worth it. I love seeing you guys. I love meeting listeners that I've never met before, people that maybe have followed me on social media or listened without reaching out. Sean in Buffalo is there. He's been listening to me since 2013, the first days of the overnight. And he told me, and this is just such a cool story, that Sean in Buffalo said, I listened all the time with my German Shepherd. Athena was her name. And unfortunately, she's no longer with us. She passed recently, but he said, Athena was with me listening to your show for a long, long time. And I was like, man, that is so cool. So I have so many stories like that. You know, I got to meet a bunch of young guys that were there, and they watched the pod and they listen, and they never met me or come out to anything like that. And then I got them into the tailgate the next day. So it was super, super cool to reach out and meet with them and kind of hang out for a second day as well. So you saw them in that clip. That was the one where I was kind of around the table and we were kind of just chatting everybody. Really cool people, man. I have such appreciation for everybody that came out and had a good time. So it was easy to do it, easy to make it on me, on the tab, and we'll have to do it again. When's the next party we can throw so that we can get everybody together and have a good time and clink some glasses and cheers, you know? So that was really awesome. Very, very cool. And I love seeing all the emojis right now in the comment section. Wallace has 5 different Wonka DA emojis. And Wallace actually hit me up today with a little piece of newspaper cutout that he sent me because he's going through some old stuff, old boxes, and he had a newspaper clipping from 1986. I think it was the New York Post or the Daily News, and it was early in the season of the Mets 86 campaign. And he knows how much I love the 86 Mets. He does too. So he sent me this. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like an old newspaper clipping from like 40 years ago. Was really, really cool to see. It was a day that Doc Gooden was on the mound and Gary Carter started in left field to give him a break from catching duties. So that was really cool. Love you guys. All right. All of that is now on the Watch D.A. Live tab. And if you're just joining us now, you can go back and watch the entire thing. If you're with us since the beginning, appreciate that. But it's time for a little Fitz magic. Aiden always puts together the best fits of the day around the NFL. So let's look at some of these. How about the Lions, Isaac Tesla? And look at this. Oh my goodness. Is this a type of fit or what? Tesla drives a Ford. There you go. The official Lions account of the boys pulling up for the game against the Cleveland Browns. This is from last week. And pretty wild that he's got a t-shirt of his own name, but says, yeah, I drive a Ford. I think, you're in Detroit. You got to drive a Ford, right? You got to drive something that's Detroit made through and through. So that's really cool. Also, you play at Ford Field and you're owned by the Ford family. So yeah, you got to drive a Ford no matter what. Next up here, how about Abdul Carter of the Giants, looking far better than the Giants look today. Now look at that chain around his neck. I mean, that is an elite Abdul Carter chain, but also that's the Hoop York Club or Hoop York City, like New York City, but Hoop York City. So that's a pretty nice fit there. He's got the beanie hat on. He's got the blinged out jewelry. He's got the Hoop York City vest, sweater vest, and pants that are kind of similar to Zubaz. So obviously I love them. Tonight on Sunday Night Football, you're going to see these ice out uniforms from the Buffalo Bills. I like them. I generally like white on white. And the silver obviously looks pretty good with the blue that pops. I've got one complaint. Use it later on in the season. You use it in December and it looks awesome. Early October, it's like still 80 degrees around here in the Northeast. So that's my only quibble here, but I think those are going to look really nice on Sunday Night Football. And speaking of really nice, can we show the really nice throwbacks today of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks and the old school graphics by CBS? I mean, this was so beautiful. Both of those throwbacks are the two of the best throwbacks we have in football. They faced off against one another and what ended up being a great game as well. Baker doing Baker things. And it looked like, you had a tremendous Sam Darnold game up until that last interception off of the helmet of one of the Buccaneers players. But ultimately, it's the Bucs who pull out the win, and they looked amazing doing it on those beautiful 1976 creamsicle uniforms that are actually white with the creamsicle numbers, which are even better than the creamsicle orange jerseys. Time for the beam ups here this evening here on Watch D.A. Live. And once again, we thank you for joining us and making your presence felt. We love seeing all of the comments in the comment section, no matter if it's on Instagram, if it's on X, or if it's on YouTube. Certainly send us your comments and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Aiden Hatton back with us because last week we didn't have Watch D.A. Live. So this is the first time in 2 weeks we've had Aiden here behind the controls. What's going on, my man?
Living the dream. It's been a second. I do agree. It's felt like a while. And as you sip the football mug, is that a new addition to the studio? Because I haven't noticed that recently.
It is. I just got a few things framed from Michael's custom framing recently. I got an old pennant, an old Syracuse pen that I had from like the 50s framed to put up in the game room. And I passed by, they had a little thing that had like welcome to football season. And they had the football mug. And I was like, this feels like Sunday pig pile. The only thing that'd be better is if it had a pig nose on it. But other than that, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect addition for the Sunday pig pile.
Everybody's in on it. And so are our broadcasters. We just showed CBS's graphics. Fox had a great day today with Eric Collins calling his first NFL game. Shout out to his laugh box and his throat. He's going to need
If
some
you-
tea after all that yelling today.
Yeah, if you were watching NFL Red Zone and saw the craziness that was Panthers-Dolphins, which was the best bad game you'll ever see, two bad teams going nowhere, but it was so much fun. The announcer was absolutely losing his mind. It just so happens that Eric Collins, I think, got the call, if I'm not mistaken, because Fox has so many crews that are doing baseball this week. And so he gets elevated up. And so I don't think he's ever called a game, like you said, but he does call Charlotte Hornets. He's the voice of the Charlotte Hornets. So he was in Carolina for the game. So there you go, bada bing, bada boom. And he just was going bonkers. And again, which just happened to be an amazing game that he was calling.
And another game that Fox also had was the Cowboys and the Jets. And our member of the Jedi Council, Cigar City Capo, writes that they played Gloria during an intermission of that game. So they're on the train with us. They're in the Sunday pig pile, DA.
Wow. How about that? We do need to get Mraz on here at some point in time. He's doing like a million Giants podcasts. So I don't know when he's actually free after Giants games. And we might have to wait until next Sunday because the Giants will play Thursday night. So maybe we'll have him free next Sunday. But it would be nice to have him sing Gloria for us, just like he did at Bob's Bar this past summer.
He did. And straight out of The Wolf of Wall Street as well. I was watching that recently. It actually popped up on the TV this week. And as the boat is capsizing, that's the song that's playing in the background. I said, wow, call the cows now. Another member of our Jedi Council, Matt, who you just mentioned, goober needs to be part of more people's vocabulary. I 100% agree. There's a lot of these in the lexicon near this. There's nimwit. There's dingbat, which I really like.
Nimrod.
Maybe that's the three-headed monster. Nimrod. There's a lot of nim derivatives. Any others that you can think of as well, throw them in the chat because more of the stimulation of the vocabulary I love.
And why did this come up, goober? Did somebody say goober?
Did you call Aaron Glenn a goober? One of the losing coaches today?
Maybe
James
I did.
Franklin?
It was
somebody.
possible. I don't know. I just, when I'm going on my rants, I just kind of conjure it. It just kind of comes out.
That is a valid reason. And lastly, Largent wants to talk about the Broncos, talk about Sean Payton, not a loser, big balls on the coach. And you talked about a little bit about it with Pat, but I thought this was the most shocking result of the league today. And the Broncos had a lot of hype heading into the season. There were a couple games there where you were wishy-washy, but a big win today on the road. Sean Payton also featured on the CBS broadcast in that smoky locker room. I don't know what's going on there. They were smoking a lot of cigars, improving to 3-2 on the season. But thoughts on Sean Payton today from Largent?
Yeah, it's a really good win for the Denver Broncos. I'm not convinced the Broncos are more than a divisional round playoff team. Maybe that's good enough in Denver as they're still trying to build something. Like you said, there was a lot of hype coming into the season. I don't think the Eagles have been even close to clicking into their full power. And sometimes this happens with champions. Sometimes they come back and they find it hard to get completely motivated and focused. And so they kind of go through the motions until they have to win football games. And it wouldn't surprise me if we kind of see the Eagles slide through the regular season a little bit, finish it, let's just say it's 13-4, 12-5, and just end up going like, okay, now we're going to pull the lever in the playoffs. Today was an odd day because they completely kind of went to sleep in the fourth quarter. And the Broncos had a lot to do with that. The Broncos get a real nice big boy win, but I'm not sure if that is about the Eagles kind of going through the motions when they thought they had it in tow, or if the Broncos really have that type of resiliency. I think we need to see far more on the Broncos this season to believe that they're different than they were last year, which is kind of a fringe playoff team. But if they are, then today is a good flag to plant in the ground in that direction.
Great win for them today. And we're already, we put out the bat signal and we're already receiving what we have. What's the word? We already reap what we sow because Kristen loves calling people jabronis.
Okay.
Cigar City Capo, putz is a good one as well.
Very good one.
Very demeaning.
Yeah, very
and
good.
finally, I'll wrap it up with Matt closing the loop. I think Two-Ton Tony called someone a goober, and DA may have as well. So shout out to Two-Ton Tony for starting off this train with the goober train. And that's how we'll end Beam Ups this evening.
You have been on point with your headline puns. Let me just tell you. I don't always acknowledge them, but I always look at them out of the corner of my eye as I'm doing my Furious Five. They've been really, really good recently.
To be frank, was probably my favorite of the night.
Really good. Really good.
And coupled with you talking about Mark Sanchez eating a hot dog, now I also really want a Frank in my mouth.
You know, I am constantly waxing poetic about the creamsicle uniforms, as many people are. And Matt in Calgary obviously is like a legend around here. So I thought that this take was interesting. Creamsicle love goes too far. The red pewters are way nicer, and that Bucko Bruce logo is embarrassing. The Seahawk throwbacks are pretty beauty, though, are pure beauty. I do think, you're going to be surprised, I do think at times the creamsicle love goes too far, and I'll tell you why. I think people like them because they think they're ugly. I think people like them because it seems so absurd that a football team used to have red and orange and white uniforms, and they were terrible. I mean, the Bucs were largely terrible for many years. So it was like, unlike Tennessee's orange, they are kind of like associated with being a joke. And I think that's why some people like them. I personally actually really think they're aesthetically nice. I like a lot of white in a uniform. I think that looks really nice. I just think it needs to be accented, which is why when they wear their road whites and the orange numbers with the red outline, I think it really pops. I think it really looks cool because the helmet is predominantly white. You want to say Bucko Bruce is embarrassing? I mean, I think it's charming. So that's a difference of opinion there. But I understand if you think the creamsicle orange is overrated because people make it out to be the best throwback. And it's probably not the best throwback. It's kind of the most ironically cool throwback. So I kind of get that. But it's undeniable that the ones they wear that are white, like today, are really awesome and would be really awesome, which is why you see all these like ice outfits, all these ice uniforms are coming in because like white, generally speaking, white with some type of accent just looks really good on football teams. It just, baseball teams as well. But just like all white looks are so rare that now it's kind of getting done too much. But no, I think that the creamsicles at times, yes, it's like almost like everyone's default, like, oh, these are the best of all time. You're like, oh, well, where were you in 1996 when I still loved it? When I had an orange creamsicle Buccaneers hoodie back then because I thought it was so cool back then. Where were you back when it was actually dorky? That's where I want. That's where I think people are being somewhat hypocritical here.
That's an interesting spin on it because I see it with my team, the Patriots, and pre-Tom Brady, pre-Bill Belichick, there was a call for the big flying Elvis on the shoulder, Drew Bledsoe uniforms when they made the Super Bowl in 1996 against the Packers. 1999. And
no, 96, you're right.
Those have not seen the light of day. That was the Bill Parcells era. They were getting there, but they've gone back to the old Pat Patriot uniforms, and those Patriots teams sucked. Uniforms are great, and I think that's maybe why they get a lot of love now because there's some, haha, look how bad we were, and now we have 6 Super Bowls. So now I'm starting to come around on it a little bit more. I would like to see the Drew Bledsoe uniforms back, though.
And you are, well, when were you born, Aiden?
Take a breath. 2000.
2000. So yeah, you were even you were born kind of post Pat Patriot. The Pat Patriot years of like the early 90s, late 80s are really bad. But I mean, they do go to the Super Bowl in 85 with them. So there are some brief moments. 76, they were pretty good as well. But yeah, they're kind of like, they're connected to the terrible Patriots teams. And then the Flying Elvis is the 96 teams and the Parcells teams. Then what Brady wore is like associated with the greatness. So it is true. I wish that the Patriots, I think the Patriots throwbacks are really, really awesome. And I wish they would wear them a little bit more frequently, because what do they do? Maybe once or twice a year? I think you can get one Pat Patriot in there and one Flying Elvis in there per season, and actually I think you should get two Pat Patriots and one Flying Elvis in per season.
I just got caught not paying attention as producer because Ramondre Stevenson just put the ball on the ground again. So that's me in my shock face, not listening when producers aren't listening.
Oh, okay. I'm going to let you go so we can all watch Sunday Night Football. I will say Moist Pork says he can't make Friday night's chat for his religious purposes. And I'm going to now have to rethink whether Friday night is the right night. It is 10-10, but we did a Friday night last time on 9-9. And so maybe we'll have to change it up this week, or maybe we wait until Monday next week or something like that, or Tuesday. I'll let you guys know, because I would like everybody to be able to join on Ask DA Anything. Those chats are really cool and really fun, and I want to make sure everybody is able to do it. And Friday nights are not always easy either for everybody, because they might have some stuff to do going on a Friday night. So I will let you know. But that's about going to do it for us. Before we get out of here, though, the Little Mo laugh of the day, okay? And the Little Mo laugh of the day comes to us courtesy of Pat McAfee's dog. He's got a corgi. Yes, that's right. And we are always pet friendly around here. You know that I love Rosie the cat so much. So let's see Pat McAfee's corgi in the corgi race right now, or in the pet race. Here he goes. He's off, and that's a left turn. Oh no, that's that's the wrong way. Oh no. Oh, that's no, the other way, corgi, the other way. Oh, that's not going to be the winner of the race right there. That unfortunately is going to be abridged version of that's Chuck. Chuck the corgi didn't make it very far down the field, made a pivot, and realized, you know what? It's a business decision. I'm not going over the middle today. I'm not laying out for that pass. I'm good. Chuck, we know how you feel. Tomorrow's a Monday. That is going to do it for us tonight here on Watch D.A. Live. Thanks to my guest, Pat Leonard, for joining us. He's going to receive some Santo Tequila. Thanks to Aiden Hatton, my Marquette Marvel and executive producer of Watch D.A. Live. And thanks to all the DA-liens tonight. Once again, remember to subscribe to the channel. Click on this button below me if you like what you saw, so you get notified every single week when we do this. Also, become a member, and you get member quality bonuses and benefits like Ask DA Anything, and some off-air members-only exclusive videos, plus emojis, and so much more. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you very much. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Sirius XM at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, and after the game tonight, Bill Maddock podcast immediately after the game. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning. And tonight, I'm DA, and the mothership disconnects.